All right, guys, so in this video, we're going to go over the theme or the shell of the application, the HTML, the CSS, the couple libraries that we're using, and we're also going to get set up, and I want to make an initial push to GitHub as well. So in either this video or the intro, the last video, you'll have a folder called Flix App Theme. So that's basically the starting point for this project. And what I'm going to do, and what I would recommend that you do, is just get rid of the dash theme and just call it Flix App. All right, so you know the difference between this and the theme. And then we're going to open this up with VS Code or whatever text editor you're using, and close all this stuff up. And let's just make that a little bigger. And now I'm going to go over the files and folders here. So let's open up the index.html, and I'm just going to open this with live server. Okay, so this is just a shell of the application. It doesn't function. It's not fetching any data. If we look at the JavaScript file, it's completely empty, so it doesn't do anything. I'm just going to make this, let's make that a little smaller as well. All right, so the index page, obviously, we already went over the project. It has a header. We have the slider area. Right now, there's nothing in it, but we're going to add that in a little bit. We have the search with the two radio buttons if you're searching movies or shows, and then we have the popular movies. So if we look at the index.html and we look at the body, we have the main header, the now playing section, which includes the slider or the swiper, and then we have the search with the radio buttons, and then we have the popular movies. Right now, we also have these details, movie details and TV details. So basically that is if we click on a movie, it brings us to that movie details. And ultimately it's going to have an ID as a parameter here so that we know which movie we're fetching. And then that has another image. It'll also have a cool background image, and then all the rest of the data as well. If we go to TV shows, that's going to be this right here, shows.html. And if we click on that, that brings us to tvdetails.html. And then finally, we have the search page. So once we make a search, it's going to bring us to this search HTML along with a couple parameters here. And this will also have a search box and then all of our results along with the pagination. All right, so those are the HTML files. And I'm just going to keep this open because this is what we're going to be working with. Now, as far as the libraries we're using, if we go to the head here, you'll see, well, first of all, the styles, I just have a custom style sheet, so style CSS, and I'm not using like Tailwind or anything. It's all just custom styles that I created. And then we have a spinner.css, which I actually got from a CodePen, so I wanted to put that link in here to give them the credit. So basically, in the HTML, if we go all the way down to the bottom, you'll see there's a div with the class of spinner, and if I put a class of show on it, then that's going to show the spinner. So basically, we want to choose in our JavaScript when to show that and when to not. Okay, when we're fetching the data, we want that to display. Now, as far as libraries or resources, we have, of course, the Google Fonts. Now, Google Fonts is the only thing we're actually reaching out to that's remote. For instance, Font Awesome, you'll see I have in a folder called lib. I just downloaded the Font Awesome CSS as well as all the web fonts because I wanted everything to be local in case something changes and I don't want your application to break. So we have Font Awesome, and then we also have the Swiper library, which just has a CSS file and a JavaScript file. And that's included right here as the JavaScript, and then we have the CSS here, and then our script is here. I'm using defer since I'm using it in the head. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Like I said, the JavaScript file is completely empty. The images folder, we just have the showcase background, or the slider background, and then we also have the no image, which is what we're using right now for every hard-coded movie. And if we scroll down, you'll see that it's all hard-coded. So every movie has a div with the class of card. So that's the first one, second one, etc. What we're going to do with our JavaScript is fetch the data and then loop through it, and for every movie we're going to display one of these cards. Okay, same with the TV shows, same with the search results, and so on. All right, we'll have other little things like we'll have the, whatever page we're on. If we're on movies, this will stay highlighted. We're going to do the pagination. We're going to have a little alert on the search. So if you try to search and you don't add anything, we'll have a little alert pop up. So just little dynamic things like that, I think are really cool for a project like this. Now let's go ahead and create a GitHub repo. I mean, you don't have to do this, but I would highly recommend it. So I'm going to call this Flix-app, and we'll just say vanilla JavaScript app that displays current movies, or movie and TV show info. And then I'm going to make this private, but it will be public later on. And then I'm just going to click create repository. Okay, so now I want to commit basically everything we have here, just the theme. So I'm going to open up my integrated terminal, and let's go ahead and initialize a Git folder. So we'll say Git init. And then we're going to add everything that we have to the staging area with git add all. And then let's say git commit and -m. And then let's say initial commit and theme, or whatever you want to put. You don't have to use that. Okay, so now it's in our local repository. So now we want to add this as our remote. And we want to use the main branch. Oops. And let's make our initial push. And there we go. So I'm going to reload the page, and you should see our projects. And you can add a README file if you want. I'm going to add one in a little bit. Now, I'm not going to make commits on screen. I just wanted to do this initial push. And I would suggest that you do this and just make commits as you go along, as you see fit. Okay, so now that we have everything set up as far as the theme and the HTML, CSS, in the next video I want to just go over the API that we'll be using, and you're also going to need to register for an API key.